What's going on, guys? Welcome to this video. I'm BlackPanthaa as always, and in this video I'm gonna be speaking about the Need for Speed Rivals DLC. What DLC? Exactly, where the bloody hell is it? That's my question for today's video. So, just before we start, this Porsche is absolutely fantastic to drive, the 918. I highly recommend that you try it. It is beautiful to drive. It literally turns into the corners like a dream, really, like you want it to, like it should do. I do obviously have a bit of a bad corner every now and again because it was the first time I was driving and I was kind of speaking to people on Skype at the same time, which I don't normally do when recording Rivals footage. But it's a great car to drive, especially if you just want a nice relaxing drive. I hadn't upgraded the performance, that's why it's a bit slow and sloppy in areas, but it is, handling wise, a beast, and I don't really want to touch the handling in case it makes it worse. Anyway, getting into this video. So, we've got no Need for Speed Rivals DLC. Where the bloody hell is it? I mean, on paper and logically, I have no idea, okay? But we can make assumptions and decisions as to why there's no DLC yet, and maybe not at any time during the life cycle of Need for Speed Rivals, because you know it's coming to an end now. The usual cycle for Need for Speed games: launch in November, release DLC December, and then final DLC will be out February or early March. So, what happened with Rivals? Why have we only got the re-release of old content like we normally get at the start of Need for Speed, and we get a free update? Well, I guess the main explanation behind this is that Ghost Games is quite a small studio. Now, this goes into a whole big other subjects which I'll get into in another video, but to just give you the basics, the difference between Ghost Games and, say, the Assassin's Creed developer. Here's a good example. Assassin's Creed pump out games every year, just like Ghost has to do now. Now, if you look at it as in the Ghost Studio has about 150 to 200 staff max working on Need for Speed, and they've got to pump one out each year, and they've got to please everybody, and they're doing a good job at trying to do that so far, and they were building up the team as they progressed through Rivals. So, if you look at, as I said, Assassin's Creed, there are 7 studios containing almost 1,000 staff members working on Assassin's Creed. And Ghost have about 150 to 200 staff members working on Rivals, or the next Need for Speed. So as you can see there, quite a big jump. And Assassin's Creed is quite a good game. I mean, it's not as well put together as a lot of games, but it is still impressive for what they do in a year. And you can tell a lot of work goes into it, and many hours go into that every single day. And that's a worry. That is an extreme worry, because if Ghost Games are put in the same boat as Black Box, they're going to do their best and eventually get tired and just not feel like it anymore. You can't expect a company to produce, and EA usually want to milk you with DLC and so on, but they can't because they've got nobody to develop it. That's why I believe we don't have any Rivals DLC. As much as I hate to say it, I believe a lot of the Need for Speed DLC was in the game and taken out. And I believe that maybe they wanted to keep that car further back, bring it back, the car that they gave us for free, and charge it for DLC at one point, because they have nothing to charge for DLC. They have a small amount of cars already, to literally take any cars from it was... well, it wouldn't have affected that much anyway, because we've got so little cars. You know, it just feels like they've taken that car out because they needed something to give out, or maybe it just wasn't finalized or something. Maybe they just needed to tune the performance of it or the handling of it or something, but there's just nothing. There's nothing they have ready for us, I don't believe. I mean, if you look at it, as I said, the DLC support starts December and it finishes in February or March, more so February now because of how it works. So it's already January and we've got no DLC. Next month is the final pack. Maybe they'll release one big DLC pack. My only belief is we'll get a DLC pack in February, which will give all the racers, the cop cars, and all the cop cars, all cops, the racers, which I would buy. It's not a bad pack. I'd really like to try some of the cop side cars on the racer career, because there are a lot of cars on there that I'd really like on the other side. So if they do that, brilliant, fantastic, I'd be all for that. And honestly, that's the only DLC I can think of them doing. I don't see them putting in newer cars and so on. I think they'll hold a lot of the new cars back for the next Need for Speed because of how this is going to work. They're a very small studio. You've got to think about this. They're working on the next Need for Speed, and they've got to give us a trailer and gameplay in the next 2 or 3 months. They've got to show us by May. They had to show us the next Need for Speed in May. The life cycle of Need for Speed games, in my opinion, is absolutely disgusting. It really is. Because of the amount of staff that EA assigned to Need for Speed, it is so small that you'd expect them to have to put as much as Assassin's Creed, and I know it's not as profitable as not as profitable as Assassin's Creed, but you'd still expect them to try and put a bit more because it is a game they're releasing every year. As much as I dislike them releasing a game every year, I like it at the same time because the games have always got something new. I mean, look at Most Wanted to The Run to Rivals. They're different games, but they're still not the game I want, but it's getting closer. Hey guys, if you're watching this video, then please release Underground 3 or Carbon 2. Anyway, so hopefully you get the point about this. I honestly don't expect them to release any DLC. I'm not predicting the release of any DLC. I'm hoping that they release the pack where I say they cross them over. It makes sense for them to do it, mainly because all they have to do is... I'm sure they've got the models of the cars in stock, but they assigned to make it a split between them, and they could literally just plaster on some of the cop stuff to the racer side and vice versa. And they could then use those models for the next Need for Speed as well. You know, it works both ways. It makes sense because rather than them scrapping the whole of Rivals and starting again with the game, I'm pretty sure they're building it off the top of Rivals. It makes total sense for them to do that. And as much as I'm excited for the next Need for Speed, I'm really worried. I honestly don't know what my reaction will be if it's not an Underground Carbon style game. But at the same time, you've got to consider how little time they have to develop a Need for Speed and how little resources and staff members they have to develop the next Need for Speed title. It's sickening to me, honestly, it really is. When you look at all the other good racing games coming out, The Crew and Drive Club, Drive Club has been in their minds for 10 years. They've owned the name for 10 years. It's been in development for 2 or 3 years. The Crew has been in development for 2 or 3 years. All of the racing games have been in development for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Don't know what the hell happened to that drift there. But you get the idea. Need for Speed, they have a year to develop a game. And they have to make us happy and not feel rips off. And they have a smaller studio than all of them. Prove me wrong, Ghost. Please prove me wrong. Give us some awesome DLC at the last minute with the crossover cop and racer cars, and then surprise us with a beastly Underground 3 game. The Underground game we have been waiting for to destroy Underground 2, Underground 1, Most Wanted, Carbon. Make those games irrelevant. Show us the Need for Speed we want. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any opinions on the topics discussed today, make sure to let me know in the comments. But wow, I'm just worried about Ghost's future. Honestly, there's some talented guys there. We know that. There's talented guys everywhere, but when you put them under stress, it's not good. It's not good at all. I just wish them the best, and can't wait to see what you bring in May during E3, May and June. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to leave your opinions below. Subscribe if you want some more Need for Speed Rivals. Like if you want more Need for Speed Rivals, because I know you like it more than the others. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.